All
This
right.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
Excellent. Hi, I'm glad to see you all. And I guess, wow, there's like new faces, small faces, and friendly faces. So, do you want to go around and start with quick introductions? And I will start. Below me is Marie. Would you mind introducing yourself?
There we go. I'm from New Jersey. I was diagnosed in 2021. I'm an alchemist now. I have 2 children, and I'm learning.
Never ending process.
hmm
Is this your first night that you've been with us?
I've been here a couple of times,
Okay.
trying to just getting contact with other people with MS, so I understand it more, to understand myself more.
Gotcha. Thanks for joining us. And now I'll shoot down to Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Hi. I can't remember what I'm supposed to say. I'm sorry.
And just who you are, where you're from, and if you're taking any medication.
I'm from Michigan, and I'm not on an MS medication right yet.
Okay. And I forgot because I haven't done this in a while. I'm sorry. Marie, did you need any time to talk tonight? Okay. And
No,
Sherry,
not at this time.
okay. And Sherry, do you need anything you'd like to talk about tonight?
A little bit.
Okay. So that's where I'm bad. So I'm trying to keep track of this. Okay. Okay. Hi, Karen. How are you doing tonight?
I didn't expect to be on your screen right away since everybody was already here when I joined. But I'm Karen. I'm in California. I don't know why my face looks red. It's not. It's just the camera. And I have primary progressive MS. I was diagnosed in 2019, and I'm wondering why so many people recently have been diagnosed. That it's just a question I'm going to put out there. For those of you who've been around for a while, is that common to have that many people suddenly being diagnosed? And I'm kind of where Sherry's at, like in the brain department. Like do you and you like do you think we come here with a written down agenda of questions to ask? It's like I know I have things on my mind, but I also have another meeting I'm probably going to leave early to go to.
Okay.
And no meds for old ladies with MS.
Okay. Thank you. And Micah, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. My name's Mike. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I have relapsing remitting MS. I was diagnosed in 2010, and I'm currently on Tecfidera. And I'd like a little bit of time tonight.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Frank, I'll come back to you, okay? And Jen, how are you doing tonight?
I am good, other Jen.
Yeah, other Jen.
Um, I am here in Richmond, Indiana, and right beside the Ohio border. I have relapse remitting. I was diagnosed 2019 due to optical neuritis. Was my first thing, not really first thing, but when you go blind, they actually look at you.
Yeah.
So, um, let's see. And, oh, I'm on Abagio.
Very nice. Do you need any time tonight, Jennifer?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll get back to you. And hi. I'm kind of bad at reading messages, and I'm kind of inept with the computer. So I okay. Do you wanna say hello to everyone tonight, Em?
Hi, everybody.
Yay, hi.
I'll get I will get on camera, but my hair is kind of a mess. Sorry, everybody.
I get
Hey,
you,
you got
girl.
hair.
I guess I can introduce myself. My name's Emily, or Em. I also was diagnosed in 2019, weirdly enough, with relapsing remitting MS, and I also was diagnosed whenever I came down with optic neuritis too. So yeah, the whole blind in one eye thing, super fun.
Where are you from, Emily?
Are you on any sort of medicine, Em?
I have been on Tecfidera since I was diagnosed. I'm on the generic version right now, actually. Yes.
Okay. And would you like time to talk tonight?
Maybe I'll feel it out if that's okay.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yes. Um, and it's Marlo, correct?
Yep. Marlo, Sterling Heights, Michigan. Diagnosed 7 of 22 and Tecfidera.
Okay. Hi, nice to meet you.
You too.
And yeah, Carmen, do you want to go? Oh,
Hi.
Marlo, I'm sorry, Carmen. Marlo, do you need any time tonight?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Oh,
Hi.
hi, Carmen.
Hi, Jennifer, you're doing a great job. This is a lot to keep track of. Like, I've
Thank
managed many, many meetings, and I give you all the credit in the world. Thank you very much. So,
thank
we
you
all
very
applaud
much.
you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm actually laying in bed, so I'm just holding the computer up so I don't have quite so much of a double chin. But anyway, I'm Carmen from Canada, and I have primary progressive MS. I was diagnosed in 2014, optic neuritis, not completely blind, but that really kind of looped me out for a few months. But anyway, I've been on Ocrevus or ocrelizumab through a study since 2017, I think it was, I started. I was very lucky I got into a study through UBC early. So anyway, but I'm progressing and I stopped work last year. I'm maybe approaching my second year actually. Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I just don't even know how I worked before. But anyway, that's another story. It's just nice to see everybody tonight. I don't need any special time. I'll just maybe chime in if people have things that are relevant for me.
Sounds good.
Great to see you all.
Yeah. And hi, Andrea. We're just going around doing introductions. Do you want to say hi to the group?
Sure. Hi, my name is Andrea. I was diagnosed in 2012, relapsing remitting. I'll be picking a new disease modifying therapy in May. I live in North Carolina. Um, and I don't think I need any time tonight. Thanks.
Yeah. And now I'll slide over to Frank, my fellow moderator.
And my name is Frank Austin, and I was diagnosed in 1997, and it took them 14 years to do that. I have secondary progressive. I am on absolutely nothing. Go out and stand in the sun and absorb vitamin D and do that kind of thing. Uh, and I'm doing well. I can't complain. I'm still here. Can't complain about it at all.
Yay. Do you need any time tonight?
I'd like to just mention something very briefly.
Okay. And I'm Jennifer, and I'm from Mount Pleasant, Michigan, Marlo. So I'm a little north of you, and I have secondary progressive MS like Frank. I like Jen and like M and like Carmen. I had optic neuritis. That was one of the symptoms that got me diagnosed, and I was diagnosed in 97. So that's my story. And I guess let's get into it. I think, Sherry, you said you needed time. Do you feel comfortable or not yet?
Did someone else go first?
Sure.
Thank you.
Jen, do you want to talk first?
Yes. Well, first one, I hope I'm really. Okay, so this is Richmond right now. I
I'm
was
scared.
telling them it's on fire. I'm about a mile and a half away from it. So over 2,000 people were evacuated. So please send prayers over here to Richmond. A lot of people are trying to find housing, and it's just sad. So, with that said, I was supposed to do my cervical operation, but I'm putting that on hold because I'm not mentally ready for it. And it's okay. It's not a big deal. Like he said, it wasn't like emergency, but um, I'm just, I just need to get mentally and emotionally and physically ready for such a thing. And that's pretty much about it.
When are
And my
you?
daughter just hit 20 weeks pregnant. She's 20 weeks already.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. When were you supposed to have
Congratulations.
the surgery?
Um, I was just in the middle of pre-op, so getting like poked and prodded and all that stuff. Um, Still waiting on iron fusion because my iron was really low. I'm a redhead, it happens. Um, but um, it wasn't like set yet. I just was going through the pre-op part.
Jennifer, I just want to say to you that is very courageous and very smart to do after having just gone through the knee operation that I had no idea would impact me in the way that it did. I think that you are very wise to be better prepared mentally and physically if it's something that really is not a huge risk. So
Yeah.
kudos to you, girl.
Thank you. That's all I have tonight. Thank you. Just send positive prayers and vibes and
Can you
Yeah,
just
I
show your
just
picture again? I couldn't see on my camera or on my screen, but I'm better now.
you're fine. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I
And
saw that on the news tonight. What happened, Jen?
it's an old factory and it was um plastic. They like made plastic, or it was a plastic where they tossed the plastic away. I'm not sure, but so there's not very good chemicals in the air right now. So I was nauseated earlier, so um, I let my dog out just for a little bit, just to go potty. But we've been staying in the house, you know, um, away from it.
I Wow, so it's safe enough for you to be there, but are they thinking you're going to need to be evacuated?
Only if the wind shifts.
How close is that to you, Jennifer?
About a mile, a little over
Oh,
a mile.
oh my goodness. Oh,
Yeah.
That's really dangerously close.
Mhm.
wow.
Wow.
So
I'm sending prayers.
Absolutely. Yes.
I
Oh,
can't believe
Absolutely.
2,000 people out of their homes today.
Wow.
when did this start?
About, I want to say 2 o'clock, because I got home at 2 o'clock and I just happened to look outside and I was like, what is that? And then I like, they have Richmond scanner page or something. I was like, turned on the scanner and that's what it was. Several explosions. Oof.
What time is it for you right now?
8:51.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Sending you big prayers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here, though.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. So, Michael, I know, yeah, I think I know that you said you wanted to talk. Would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, I can go ahead. I got a lot going on, so I'm like just kind of wanting to just get it out. I went to an appointment with a urologist a couple weeks ago because I was having a lot of UTIs. I think I had mentioned it before
Yes.
in the group. So anyway, that turned out to be a really um, good experience. He was pretty straight up with me about everything, and I kind of have a plan. Um, and I'm taking the Demanos and the cranberry,
Okay.
like a few people suggested. And I'm also actually tracking the water that I'm drinking, the amount, um, trying to make sure I'm more hydrated, and my um, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. It's been a rough day today. But I've actually been, until today, I've been feeling actually a lot better, and I don't know if it's like a placebo effect or if I'm actually feeling better. I've had more energy. And the interesting thing a urologist was telling me is that he was looking back through all of the urine cultures that they've sent out for me over like the past year for all of these UTIs, and he said actually only two of them were a real UTI. He said because they none of the other ones. I think I had like six, and he said none of the other ones grew out after for like the actual culture. And he said that what he thinks is happening is I just have constant inflammation in my bladder. And so that's giving signals that I have a UTI on the initial test. So he said, and that would explain why I'm not having like a lot of symptoms, like I don't have burning or a fever or anything like that. So he was saying that he wants me to, if somebody says that I have a UTI, he wants me to wait on antibiotics until I find out from the actual culture that there's
Okay.
an infection, because he says I've definitely been getting overprescribed, which he said is understandable, but now that we know what's going on, we need to be more cautious about that. Um,
So did he
and
give you something
so,
for the inflammation then, Michael? Sorry to interrupt,
um,
but then did
oh,
he
no,
prescribe
I'm sorry. Oh,
did he then prescribe something for the inflammation so that you wouldn't have the symptoms anymore at least? Or how does that?
well, that's the thing, is I haven't really had any symptoms. The most of the tests that I've gotten have been like when I've been in for something else, and so they're just checking
Mm,
and things like that. I have had like a pain in my side lately. My primary care thinks it might be, he called it a subclinical kidney stone, like a kidney stone that's so small that it's not showing up on like a CT, but it's still causing some discomfort. That's actually gotten a little bit better since I started really slamming the water.
Hmm.
Um, it was hard to adjust to the water thing at first because I was having some problems. I don't void my bladder completely. So, and then what I was noticing was when I was drinking water like all day, I would start having I go to the bathroom and then I'd have an accident like 15 minutes later with what urine was left. Um, so I did some research online and now I've kind of gotten on a schedule and I just slam 16 ounces at a time, drink it as fast as I can, and then I don't drink another 16 ounces until I went to the bathroom, and that seems to be working well.
Who said
Um,
to drink? Who suggested to drink, up your fluid?
oh,
Did
my
you?
urologist.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because,
Maybe.
he was,
I'm wondering if, if even the urologists know about UTIs and MS, because I read about that out of London. Like it's really, really common to have that. And I used to get UTIs when I was younger, but then that didn't happen to me. And then I got one about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, and it just messed me up. And I know I gave a good sample, and then they said, oh, they threw out the culture because it wasn't enough. And it's like, what do you mean it wasn't enough? And I'm under the care of a I was under the care of a urologist just for incontinence, and it just became a mess. And I was messed up for like 3 weeks, and I think I did have, was Carmen, you think, a peridium or something? I know I have azo or something. I didn't even need to use it. Like it wasn't, it wasn't burning, and it wasn't, I wasn't even sure I had a UTI, but I noticed if I have just even a hint of it, I take a call, I'll do a sample. But it messed me up for so so long, and there wound up being like three doctors involved, from the urologist because his nurse ordered it, and then it was the
Yeah.
weekend, and then
My sister has struggled with UTI, like chronic UTI. She has relapsing remitting, but a secondary progressive now. But and she's quite affected with all of her body parts, but has had this chronic UTI problem like on and off for a long time. Anyway, I didn't mean to get into symptoms and doctors and tracking and telling you what to do, Michael. Sorry, but
yeah, but it's
it
oh,
important to
no, that's
know
okay.
that it affects you, that mine was very mild, and it just messed me up. And then for a couple of weeks, well, I called the MS nurse. She goes, Karen, you're not going to have a UTI for the rest of your life. Like to me, it was just how I felt, not so much in the genitourinary, just the whole. She said it just throws you out of whack. And I finished the antibiotics. They wound up taking another culture, and then my primary. She said, it could take 2 or 3 weeks before the antibiotic works. And this doctor in London, I forgot, Dr. G. He's pretty well respected. I think there's misinformation, in just the urology primary care about MS and urinary tract infections.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Well, Michael, do you feel, you were saying you felt better. Are you feeling, with like the increased water and the D-Manos and the cranberry, is that helping you feel a little bit better?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I've had a little bit more energy lately than I've had in like quite a while. And that's one thing that I've noticed, and I feel like it's taking me longer to get worn out. I'm having a little bit more stamina. So I feel like maybe, I mean, I don't want to say anything right away, but maybe I'm clearing up something that hasn't been cleared up and has been affecting me, and so I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. We had a record high today of 86 degrees, so that kind of knocked me on my butt today. It's been a little taste of summer all of a sudden.
Yeah. I
But
see
um,
I see Christy nodding. Yeah, the weather can be rough.
oh yeah, yeah. So anyway, but I think that was pretty much all I had to say. I just feel like things are going a little bit better, and hoping it stays that way.
Well, that's good. I hope so for you too. It's crazy how, like, when I have a UTI, the last thing I want to do is drink more water because it hurts to go. But if you like can dilute that drink more, the human body's a mystery. That like helps. So, and yeah, I'm glad to hear you're doing better. And Christy,
Thanks.
I saw you sneak in. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. I got caught up watching a TV show and my husband called me. He's like, "Are you going to the meeting?" I was like, "Oh crap, I didn't even realize the time." And then I tried to log in, it wasn't letting me log in. So yeah, just a bad Tuesday.
Better late, good things come. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, I'm Christy. I am from Brighton, Colorado. So I'm Mike's neighbor, Michael's neighbor. Um, let's see here. I was diagnosed back in 2003, so this year is my 20-year anniversary. Um, I am an Ocrevus, and I have been moved up to active secondary progressive. So,
Boo boo.
yeah, just living my best life. Just doing a lot of doctor's appointments and physical therapy right now. So, um,
Do
yeah,
you need any time tonight?
just like a brief moment, nothing critical.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to swing up to Marlo. You said you wanted to talk tonight?
No, I don't have much to say. I
Okay.
just happy to be here.
Okay. See, that's what's good about having MS. If I don't remember who said they need time, y'all get it. But Andrea, you said you wanted time, right? Burger! Frank, you
No,
said,
yeah, yeah, Frank.
yes, Frank.
Well,
Thank you.
I had an interesting conversation, I guess you'd have to call it, with Senator Marshall in Kansas. I sent him a note about the uh, Air Access Amendment, and he came back, I haven't heard of that. And it sounded like it was a personal letter, not like one of his staff wrote it. And I'm going to start people looking at it, and we're going to see what we're going to do on it. Now, the negative thing that I've got to say is there are no Republicans supporting the act. It's all Democrats. So Marshall's a Republican, so I doubt it. But what can we say? At least he's looking.
Yeah, well,
No
that's
wonder he's never heard of it.
I don't think he had.
No, I said no wonder. If it's a Democratic bill, then why would a Republican even bother to know about it? And vice versa. I'm not trying to pick sides.
I understand. Believe me, I know.
it's one of those things. Multiple sclerosis doesn't care about your party affiliation. It's
Nope.
gonna get you if you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, crosses the aisle. But good job. So is that like in Kansas that you're going to be focusing,
No,
Frank?
that's a federal thing.
Right. But like the group, are you just doing it like just with your legislator from Kansas right now?
Yes, he's a senator from Kansas, and
Excellent.
I mean, I've talked to him enough times. Well, I ran into him in the hall in Washington back in March, and was able to talk to him out in the hall. So he knows who I am. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking.
Who else said they had something to say?
I
Raise
guess
your
Sherry,
I
hand.
did. I'm finding it hard to. Okay, I'm 60 years old. My neurologist wants me to go on a medication. And all the research I've done is that when you're older, it slows down. I'm having a hard time picking out the medication because I don't like side effects, and I'm doing this by myself, basically. And I just don't know what to do because I just graduated physical therapy after over 6 months. I worked really hard and I got out of my chair. Um, thank you. Well, I should be appreciative because, except I'm using a walker and I feel like I'm 80, but I should be appreciative to be out of my chair because so many people aren't. And I don't know, I'm a mess. I'm just a mess. I'm always a mess.
Sherry, is your neurologist pretty close?
Traverse City,
Traverse City.
nothing's close here.
Yeah, you're still like in the Gladwin area?
Gaylord.
Gaylord,
We
yeah.
went to the park today and there were snow piles all around where the kids were playing.
Welcome to Michigan.
Yeah, people had on
Hey, Sherry.
shorts and some people had on jackets.
So
Hey, Sherry.
would you,
Oh,
oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I'm so sorry, Jennifer. I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
no, go ahead, Carmen.
Okay. Sherry, I just wanted to say to you that there might be a few side effects to some kind of medication, but maybe just take a look at what the least is that you could stand and go for something because there is opportunity in medication. Just take a second look at it. That's all I encourage you to do. And I know it's hard to make a decision, and I totally relate, like getting just lost in the confusion of it all. So what is helped for me is writing things down, like just making a plan as simple as I can, but a plan and what my goal is, and then just, so those are just some suggestions, but I know it's hard to make that decision.
Also,
So
remember that not everybody gets all of the side effects.
I know,
yeah.
but I'm just,
I know I'm getting ready. I mean, I'm going to talk to my neurologist in at the end of May, and I'm off a med right now, and we're going to be choosing a med. So I'm in a similar, I mean, I've been on some meds, so I've been there, but I'm in a similar situation as you. It's confusing and it's
yeah,
tough, and um the best advice I can give you is to have a very open and honest conversation with your neurologist about it. Tell him this, that you're worried about the side effects and anything else. Like, I'm worried about needles, you know. Um, that's going to be for me, he mentioned key symptom. So for me, that's sort of the conversation I'm going to have with him is do I feel like I'm willing to do that every month?
yeah,
It also boils down to on how you would prefer to take your medication. Do you want to take it like an oral every day, or do you want to like Kesimpta once a month, or dive into like the Ocrevus world, or I forget what Jen's on. It starts with a K.
Yeah, Rituxan.
Oh, Rituxan, that's right,
Yeah.
not a K. Um, but that's twice a year. An infusion, you don't do it. You just go into an infusion center. Um, I know on everything that I've been on, it was like earlier in my diagnosis when I had the side effects. But when I got onto like Gilenya, that's a daily pill, I really didn't have any side effects. And now that I'm Ocrevus, no side effects. And I'm sure that Rituxan's kind of the same way because it is the
Mhm.
the same as Ocrevus, but
They're
like it's the
kissing
original.
cousins.
Right. It's
Yep.
there, yeah. So I mean it all you have to explore that as well. You know what your
He's
comfort level
my
is.
my neurologist suggested Arpeggio.
Jen,
I live with my grandkids and they get sick all winter long. So it's like being on a disease modifying therapy and then getting sicknesses from my grandkids, you know. I don't know, I'm kind of afraid.
Well, and I watch kids during the week. My friend's kids, they're her youngest just turned a year old, and then she has a hold on, 5, 8, and 10-year old. They're sick all the time,
Yeah.
but and the thing is that I'm around them, and I don't get sick. I have gotten colds, but nothing like severe. So, um, yeah, my suggestion is maybe pick up some vitamins to help combat that.
yeah, Jen, that like Christy's talking, you've taken the Abagio. And Christy, I was with you thinking, Sherry, get on an infusion where it's twice a year, and that would kind of combat the distance you are from a hospital. But
Yeah.
Jen, what's it like with Abagio?
I have no symptoms. Now, my first one was Tecfidera, which talk about hot flashes. Whew, woof.
Really?
But the only reason I had to stop Tecfidera is because of my insurance change, and they wouldn't pay for it anymore. So I got on Abagio and was able to get the Abagio to help pay for it, whatever.
Copay assistance?
hmm
Yeah.
And so I have I take a pill a day, so it's
No side effects
no
for
side
you.
effects. No, the only thing I that they say is um, a little bit of hair loss, but that's not for everybody.
Okay.
And some medicines do that. But
Mm.
usually when you take medicines and you're scared of the side effects, they don't last forever. Not a lot, not most of the time.
A lot of times it's just your body adjusting to the
hmm
new medication.
And it's bougie,
Yeah.
Sherry. It's bougie. It's a bougie name.
Too
And
bad
if
Tim's
When I
if
taking
you
it.
started,
do take the medicine and the
Usually
side
Jennifer.
effects are unlivable, you can always come off of it and try a different one.
Yeah, the problem is my neurologist is an hour and a half away. That's the closest neurologist I could get.
Do
Mine
they
is
not
3 hours away.
Oh
Yeah,
do they
I
gosh.
video
understand.
visits? Do they do video visits? Like with the pandemic, everything has changed so much
Yeah,
here.
I do video visits, but you can't do that for, getting medication or anything like that.
No,
But
no, not for the
if you had
initial
an
one, of
infusion,
course. Yeah.
They can prescribe it though. So if they prescribe you like one of the pills, that would just get mailed to you. Even some of the
yeah.
injections will just get mailed. Then you have to go in maybe in 3 months for blood work, that type of stuff.
That's a good
And with
option.
my Ocrevus, my neurologist is only having me do blood work once a year. So
Nice.
I guess it depends on your medication as well.
Mm.
Yep.
So,
Do you have to
so
do
and
blood work,
especially if you're
Jennifer,
new to it.
for Arpeggio?
Yes, because what they have to check your liver enzymes, I believe,
Oh,
to make sure
okay.
your liver's fine.
Okay.
How often do you have to do that blood work, Jen?
Just that first, I want to say the first 6 months, maybe like the first, what was it? I want to say 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not sure. Whatever the neurologist thinks that you need to do, but I do know it was a little bit for a while.
So that might be an option for you, Sherry, with it being a pill. So, maybe
And it
something
comes
to
right to my door.
Home delivery. Gotta love it.
The thing is, I had a pretty bad attack last September, so I'm worried if I because the neurologist I had downstate before I moved back up to Gaylord, he was suggesting Tysabri. But then of course you got the PMO risk, and then I'm afraid, I have medical anxiety. It's like every little thing is like, I just have anxiety, general. It's bad. It's just bad. I don't know. I probably, I don't
And
even,
that's a true disorder too. It's true.
Oh,
It's white coat. It's called white coat syndrome, I believe. Part of it.
they can also help treat the anxiety as well. You might want to look. That's a very common symptom. Both depression and anxiety are high in MS patients.
oh, don't I know it? I have them both, and they hit me like a ton of bricks. And they hit me like a ton of bricks after my last exacerbation.
Oh
Just
yeah.
of, I mean, like a brick wall fell on me of depression and anxiety. And I was doing research, and I read that someone even had um, steroid regimen because they had such terrible anxiety and depression. They had a steroid regimen, and that helped them. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you,
also
everybody.
truly high suggest a therapist to
Oh, I
kind
have
of
one.
help. Okay,
Good.
to help with the grief as well, because when we the unknown and losing things
Oh
sometimes,
gosh,
like
yes. Yeah, I do know that. I
I'm
used
searching
to
for one now.
I used to play piano and guitar, and I can't even do that anymore. And I used to dance, of course, I have it better than a lot of people, but gosh, yes, it is grief. You just keep losing things over and over and
Mhm.
over.
The heat, I can't do the heat.
Oh,
And
I
I
can't
used to go
either.
out. I'm an outpatient person, so I go to my patient's house and or go to like set up tables at the fairs and stuff and preach like recovery and addiction and mental health, and I can't do it, and it sucks.
And people don't
Sherry, it
get
just
it.
sucks.
People don't get it.
No, and the lady and the young girl I work with, she went on a cruise and and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just here in the office and I'm just not gonna go on. Ugh!
Yeah.
She's so energized, and I said, don't ever take that for granted,
Yeah.
ever,
That's the truth.
because I hit 40 and I was like, that was it. That's when I got diagnosed. Welcome 40s.
I was diagnosed in my 40s, but I probably had it since I was 20, and they
I
never
I
knew
think I
what
had
was wrong with me.
prior, but they said it was anxiety and depression.
Oh, yes, I got that so many times, and I got acute disseminated encephalomyelitis, and I got so many chronic fatigue syndrome. I could
I,
the list is this long.
I
Yeah,
was recommended to a psychologist. It was, yeah, my imagination.
My
I
story
couldn't
too.
even write my name. I couldn't even like get my words out. I was
Mm.
speaking like I was intoxicated, and it was that because
Well, I
of my
used to go to
divorce. I
University of
wasn't.
Michigan, and sometimes I get these attacks where my words come out jarbled, and
Hmm.
she told me it was a silent migraine. Has anybody ever heard of a silent migraine? Really?
Me.
I might have.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was called a migraine phenomenon.
Yeah.
The doctor told me migraine phenomenon.
Wow.
Yeah. But silent migraines I've heard of too. Some people don't get any pain, but they get the visuals. I
Hmm.
get that. I get
It
the
just
visual.
it messed up my talking. Nobody could understand what I'd said. I
I
Eh,
even
try to
I
do a conversation and it go
did,
like
yeah,
outfield.
yeah.
My mom was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I don't know. I have no idea."
I
That
thought
But
I
gargle
was
rest.
I thought I was losing my hearing because I couldn't understand people, and it wasn't my hearing, it was the processing of the sound into words and being able to understand it.
Oh God.
And I do everything backwards. My husband is constantly correcting me. I'm like, stop correcting me. Like he was watching something um on TikTok, and it was the Laverne and Shirley like opening song for them,
Oh
and I was
yeah.
like, oh, that's Shirley and Laverne's song. He's like, yeah, but it's Laverne and Shirley. I was like, stop it. I know that, but it just came out Shirley and Laverne.
Right.
Right.
But
I
it's
call
a
it's called
constant.
kind of like some sort of dyslexia because I'm finding myself doing that. Like if I dial a number, I'll mix up two of the numbers, and
Yep.
I'll say yes, I dialed that number right. They say you better check it again. It's kind of like it's MS dyslexia. I never heard of that symptom, but I don't know.
it can
Yeah,
affect any brain, so
I
why couldn't
constantly switch words. So
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Just the constant
Yeah,
frustrations of living with a chronic illness. It's
And
mixing
Shelley,
up
I've heard
numbers
you.
is called dysgraphia, and it's a neurological kind of thing. Kids have a problem with it all the time, and we just get thrown in there as well.
yeah.
what's it called again?
Uh,
dysgraphia.
Oh,
You're
you're
on
on
mute,
mute.
Maria.
Unmute.
Marie.
it's called dysgraphia. Yes.
Dysgraphia.
Dysgraphia.
Dysgraphia. Huh. I didn't know there was a term for
It's
it.
like a dyslexia. It's but it works with numbers instead. A lot of children have a problem. If you deal with anybody with any kind of learning disability, that's one of them.
Um, and Sherry, I wanted to also say to you that I've heard you a couple of times tonight saying, I know other people have it worse, or, I shouldn't complain too much. And, don't do that. Like, just accept that what you're going through sucks. No matter what anybody else is going through, maybe worse, may not be as bad. It doesn't matter. You are going through what you are going through right now. And so allow yourself to feel it and to own it.
Thank you.
It's true.
So true.
It's true. Wow.
Somebody mentioned getting off the dimethyl fumarate because of insurance. Costplus is the Mark Cuban pharmacy online. So I was looking into that because I heard the same thing from other people or read about it. And they offer without insurance. You got whatever you need, it's worth looking up from them because I'm looking at right now dimethyl fumarate, 250 milligrams, 60 capsules for a month, $55 without insurance.
Wow.
It's look up anything you need on Cost Plus. It's dramatic, and they show what they pay for it. They pay $45. They charge a 15% markup, $6.75, and they give the pharmacy $3. So that just shows what we're paying these health insurance providers, telling us we got this great insurance,
Yeah.
where this is no insurance.
And can I use that if I have insurance?
Yes. Plus, it can get better with insurance. I haven't used it yet. I don't have to yet, but I'm just looking for that backup. But there's a lot of things on here, like the Lipitor is actually cheaper here than with my insurance.
And what is the website?
It's called Cost Plus Drug Company, Costplus, and you just go on there and you can look up whatever you take, but you still need a prescription. So the doctor has to send them the prescription, but it's just possible without insurance.
Thank you for typing that, Christy.
You're welcome. And it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of like GoodRx if you look at it, right? Just a
I
different.
don't know GoodRx to say, but
Well,
GoodRx is like a discount, right?
yes. And I just recently for the first time had to use GoodRx because my insurance wouldn't cover my uh armodafinil, or as people will also know it as Nuvigil. So I paid for a 90-day supply through GoodRx. I think it was like $90 for, or $96 for a 90-day supply. But I got, before I went and picked it up, it said that I owed, like, I got the text message that it was ready, and my balance for to pay for it was like $1,246, something like that. Yeah, and I
And
paid $96.
Christy, will you remind me what's New Vigil?
It is like for to help keep you awake.
Okay.
It's primarily used for like people with or narcolepsy, shift work, or if you have sleep apnea and you just can't stay awake. I call it my legal crack. And
Okay.
yeah,
Is it
my
like is it related to Provigil? Have you ever heard of Provigil?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
it's like its cousin.
Okay. Well,
But yeah,
thank
I I
this sorry,
Sorry,
Michael,
Chris,
go ahead.
what
I
was yours called again?
oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Well, I take the generic as armodafinil, but that's the generic for Nuvigil. I'll put it in the
New.
chat.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry
I
to
was just
interrupt.
gonna say I had a stint where I didn't have insurance, and I used that GoodRx for a lot of different things, and sometimes you can find some screaming deals on that for sure. Yeah, it works out really good.
And the Mark Cuban thing, Marlo, is that good across the country, or do you have to go to a particular store?
It's strictly online.
Okay.
But he gave some speech about he's made so much money in his lifetime that the money doesn't matter anymore. Now he wants to do something that's going to help society. And
Wow.
not every drug is on there, but some are. And when I looked up that one, it really shocked me that that one was on there because it is so expensive. They tell you it's $6,000 to $9,000 a month, but because you have insurance, and here you find out this is the actual cost. But that's what they're charging the insurance companies, right?
Wow.
But whatever you're taking, it's worth looking up, especially if you get a problem with insurance.
It's the medical industrial complex.
You're taking advantage.
Yep.
Yeah. So, if you feel comfortable, did you have anything that you wanted to talk about tonight?
Who are you talking to?
I was talking to you,
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I was just kind of checking in. As I've stated previously, um, I am 100% wheelchair dependent, but I've been going to physical therapy, and this last week was the first time I was able to. This last Wednesday, I have physical therapy tomorrow, but this last Wednesday was the first time that they got me kind of upright. They had this like contraption sling thing that they put me in, and it was very intimidating after not being it, not up. Okay, hold on, words are coming. After not being able to be up out of my chair for like a year and a half, it was kind of intimidating, but at the same time, it was like really, it felt good. It felt really good. And, I took a very assisted walk around the physical therapy area, around the tables, and then back to my table that I was at. So it was, it was a little hopeful for me. But at the same time, I have that like reservation that it's not going to get better because I just feel like I do great in my physical therapy. I do my homework at home the best that I can. And then it's like I take steps back, and I just feel like I'm never going to get to the point where I'm comfortable in my new normal because it's quite a drastic new normal. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I'm trying day by day, and it's getting there. But it's really hard, and it's very depressing. And then I have anxiety attacks if I fall because I'm like, if I fall, I don't like in my head, I feel like I can do it. I can get up, and then I try, and it's like a no go. It's like a big slap in the face, and I'm just like, come on, just work with me, body. Just help me get up. Like it's very frustrating. Um, but like this morning, I was so tired, I fell asleep in my chair, and this is when I fall. Like my body jolts while I'm sleeping, apparently, and it jolted me out of the wheelchair. And my husband's always like, "Well, that's why you put the brakes on your wheelchair." I'm like, "They are on." I'm like, I fell out of the wheelchair. It wasn't because I was wanting to. That's not something that I strive to do. That I just get so tired, I fall asleep, and it just happens to be in the wheelchair, and I happen to fall out of it. And it's just like it's it's really like I don't know the best word for it. But it's very dehumanizing, I guess you could say, that the things that you used to be able to do no problem is a huge struggle, and it's hard. It's really hard. Like in your head, you can visualize doing it, but the actual action to do it is another like another letdown and heartbreak, and it just it's excuse my language, it's a huge mind fuck. It really is. And I'm just like, I just feel like I can't win. It's like I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. You know. So, and then
A
Yeah.
today I
big
went.
thing is I read a lot about stages of grief. It's not just when you lose somebody, it's when you lose yourself. And I understand that what what my life was and what my life is now, and the loss of that, the loss of my independence and everything. It's a stage of grief, and I've gone through it many times. That's normal, but you just gotta keep it going. And you going from a chair and starting to walk, it's helpful. You just gotta do your best that day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm trying to get my mind is like some days I do have good days, but I have more bad days than I do good. And it literally like completely depletes me and it makes me feel like nothing's going to get better. It's really hard. It is hard. And like I said, I mean, I went from within just a few months, I went from walking and then to a walker because I couldn't balance myself. And then like month and a half later, I was wheelchair dependent. So it was like bam, bam, bam. I didn't have time to grieve each step. And I know it's been since November of last year, or no, 2021, that I started uh, not being able to walk. And I just haven't, I've gone through so much stuff in this time since almost a year and a half that it's like I haven't had time to sit back and grieve what I can no longer do. And so I'm constantly like beating myself up, because I haven't had time to say, that's my past. This is my now. I'm still in the past. And it's hard. It's hard to do day by day when, I haven't been able to move from the past and get to the now. So it's just been a real big struggle for me. So
Christy, I just want to reassure you that you're not alone. And I
I
feel like I'm
know.
talking like nonstop, you guys, but I just am relating to every single thing that is being said tonight. And I'm just so grateful to have a place that I have like other people that are going through similar stuff or similar stuff that MS affects. But um, I'm still processing being off work, and I'm coming up to 2 years now, and I feel like I've just lost this huge piece of me, and then physically as things get more and more challenging, but I'm trying to just put it on the MS and not carry it myself anymore. So that's what I'm trying to do to cope with it. Like it's not me personally failing. It's nothing to do with that because I am fighting and fighting hard, but it's the fucking MS. And so I'm not going to carry that in my heart anymore. That's what I'm trying to do for myself because I keep beating myself up too because I'm constantly disappointed. So that's the theory that I'm going to try working on. But you're not
And
alone, Chris.
it's hard. It's hard. And the the people who do not deal with this daily, they have no idea of what like a mental struggle you go through. They
Hmm.
think it's all in your head and you can get past it. And I'm like, I tell my husband, if I hear that one more time, I'm going to literally punch you in the head. Because, he's like, well, it's all in your head. If you focus, you can do it. Yeah. You think I want to, like, oh, I don't know, sit on the toilet for a half hour because I'm having a hard time getting my pants up. You think you think that, you know, I want to, take 4 hours to get ready when it took me only a half hour, and not even a half hour before, and it's like he sees it as it's a choice that I'm making. No,
Ha,
it's a struggle in my head, and
ha.
and I'm Jen's laughing. Jennifer's laughing.
Yeah, because if you were gonna make a choice, Christy, it's like multiple sclerosis or steak for dinner. Let's
Hi.
like seriously, maybe and I mean this in the nicest way, but maybe your husband's got to he's got to do some learning. This is not a cold. You're going to
Right,
have it for the rest of your life. And he needs to be, I mean, thank God, Christy, you have us and we have you, because
right.
that's why we're here. We all need each other's support, and we get you. We know you're not, we're not, it's not in your head, and you know, it's not in your head, Sherry. It's not in your head, Carmen. It's in none of our heads. I mean, it is in our head, but that's
Technically,
damage.
yeah.
That's not that we made this up.
Totally,
Well,
totally. You couldn't have said it better. But Christy, also, I just want to remind you, it was a long time before you got your baclofen pump, right? Like you only got that how long ago? So like
I got
you,
that December 30th of 2022.
yeah. So
So,
the experience that you had before you got that, like all those symptoms that you went through, have also had a huge impact on your body, you know? So you are going to need time to recover from that. Just like Karen was saying about her UTI and my knee surgery, I mean, that knocked me out and I'm still digging out from that. So just be hopeful in that way, but realistic, I guess is what I'm trying to say too.
right. And it's so funny. This kind of makes me laugh a little bit, but something, and he's not anymore, he's not as oblivious as to what I'm going through. And this really pisses me off, but I'm glad he got it from somewhere. He watched a TikTok video because there's a ton of TikTok videos about MS, and there's this one couple where the husband has MS and they have like six kids together, and he got to a point where she could no longer take care of him. So it turned into like this TikTok story, and it kind of hit him that I could be the husband at some point where he's got to make the decision to put me in assisted living. And so he's like, so he's kind of given me a little bit of grace, and he's still adjusting himself. But at the same time, I'm like, I have been telling you this for years. What is it about the TikTok video that it actually sunk in? You
You
know?
look so good.
Right. But yeah,
Just,
and
just be thankful that it did sink in.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. It kind of pisses me off that it took a TikTok video for him to get it, but he still doesn't get the whole gravity of it. Which I'm like, is there a TikTok video for this problem with people with MS that that I can steer you to? Because obviously you don't want to listen to me.
But even
Um,
Check
basic,
out shift.ms on YouTube.
yeah. Well, he's done a ton of research on YouTube, but I don't know how much of it, or not YouTube in general, just a ton of research on MS. I just don't know how much of it has sunk in.
has he ever gone to
Even
an appointment with you at your
Oh yeah,
neurologist?
oh yeah. He
What
goes to every appointment.
does the neurologist not say to him, like that this is the disease that you have and this is why you're experiencing this?
She does say stuff like that, but
Oh,
again, I don't think he's really
yeah.
has his ears open
And
and
you
is
know
listening.
I'm not sure if you're listening, Rick, but I think that could be a really interesting AnCan program, is spouses of
Yeah,
people living with chronic illness, whether it be multiple sclerosis or cancer, just some sort of group for a spouse. I
or
don't know if both,
children.
or children, just like more than just the person living with the disease
That's a
is
great
affected.
idea.
Caregiver.
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
For a
Get on
for
it,
a
Rick.
group, you're
I
saying,
don't
or
know
for
if it's like a group or a program, just
yeah.
something, you
Kind of
know.
like
so
this right here,
we
Yeah.
have
where
had for some time we've had we have a care partners group, and we also welcome care partners, as you know, into
Mhm.
most of our groups. Um, the care partners group we have is for stage 3 and stage 4 cancer.
Mm.
And we've thought about opening that up. And maybe what we need to do is to, because in many cases people with stage 3 and stage 4 cancer are living with chronic illness. It is a chronic illness, and
Right.
it's managed for many, many years. Um, so, I think it's certainly something that we could look at doing. I mean, what we might be able to do is expand that group. It meets twice a month right now. But we might be able to expand it to one more meeting and make that meeting open to all caregivers. But if we did that, then we would need a couple of care partner moderators, because what we don't, what we do, what we don't do, we do not allow the patients into that meeting because
That's fair.
because because we want to make it a safe space for the care partners,
Mhm.
right? And so if the care partners need help, they're constrained if the patients are in there because they feel they
Yeah.
can't say things. So
Right.
we I really like the idea, Jen. It's a great idea, but if anybody in this group has care partner that might be interested in participating, let me know. Um, I think it's important only because if we open it up to more than one to outside of cancer, our moderators don't have experience outside of cancer.
Right.
Well, I
Well,
know my husband would be first in line to sign up, so I can
Okay,
definitely uh, run it across him and see what he says, and then we can reach out to you. I'll
just
reach out to you
please,
via email.
everybody knows how to get hold of me. I'll put it in the chat window, but let me know. I mean, we love that. I mean, I can't tell you how much I love that idea. Um, it's just that we haven't been in a position to do it, but we could make the space. We could certainly, we could easily make the time and make the space to hold a meeting for care partners. But like I say, we would want it to be without the patients so they can say what they need to say. And that's it. But yeah, I mean, we'll certainly look at it. And we have sarcoidosis people and we have other people. Yes, be
Well,
happy
and
to.
I just feel like any partner is facing the same struggle, regardless of any disease. You know,
Yeah,
so I think it would be good, even if it's a cancer care partner talking with, say, my husband, who is an MS care partner.
yeah,
They have the same struggles, so
yeah.
it's good to bounce ideas off each other like it is for us. We ask questions about how to do something or how to handle it, and we
Well,
just kind of bounce it off each other.
our lead moderator in that group is, I love her, Susan LaHaye. She spent her career as a women's health nurse practitioner. So even though she lost her husband to cancer, she has a lot of experience,
Mhm.
medical experience outside of cancer. So I'll talk to Susan and see what she says. One thing we do is we run 2 meetings a month, but we only allow talk around grief and bereavement in one of the 2 meetings because a lot of care partners don't want to deal with the grief and bereavement. I mean, I understand what you're talking about in here and how you live with yourself with this grief, and it's very, very valid. But for care partners, um, they don't separate it that way, in my view. Grief and bereavement is associated with them losing their partner, and they
right.
don't want to think about losing their partner. So for that reason, and we've had people who have stopped coming because they don't want to have to deal with the grief and bereavement part. So now we have one meeting that's grief and bereavement, or you can talk about it. It isn't just, but you can talk about it. And the other meeting, we don't want you talking about grief and bereavement. Again, to create safe space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very valid.
Yeah.
So like I said, I'll talk to my husband and see if that's
Sure.
something he'd be interested in, and I'll just email you with his details.
And email me, and I'll start thinking about it at this end, and I'll
Okay.
talk to Alexa, and we'll see what we might be able to do.
And
All right,
even
that
if
sounds good.
it's, just once a month or once every 3 months, just something to connect people.
Yeah,
Right.
we might we might be able to do something for um just for your MS care partners. We don't have a problem doing that just for MS care partners every so
Mhm.
often. The question is how many we would get and if we get enough. But we might do. So
Yeah.
let me talk about it and see if we can, but we really would want at least one care. And Dan, it's tricky with Dan because he lives with the disease and he's also a care partner. So I don't know how he'd feel about that. But
And
if we're going to
yeah,
do something for MS, we've got to have at least one MS peer care partner.
and maybe something like John from our group, his wife would want to do it too.
Yes,
Yes.
Something like
I was
that.
just thinking about John, and his
yes,
wife's name is Amy, I think. I
yes.
can't remember.
Melissa,
Melissa. I knew it was something like,
like a,
um,
yeah.
Something like Amy or Melissa, right?
yeah, it
I
was like a,
I want to say
Amy.
like a 70s or 80s girl name. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because
All
I know
right. Well,
Melissa probably goes through a lot too, and she needs somebody to talk to.
Mhm.
So that I think it would be a good outlet, not just for MS, but for, like Jen was saying, chronic disease, and I mean, I know spouses that deal with their husband or wife that has fibromyalgia, stuff like that, and they go through a hard time with caretaking and stuff like that. So it would be something that I would be more than happy to get the word out that there is a support group for caretakers.
okay.
So,
We like to call them care partners now.
care partners, thank you.
We prefer that. We think it's a little more PC than caretakers or caregivers or what have you. So we
Right.
like to
It's like,
call them care partners if we can.
no, that
But you
makes
don't have
sense.
to, but that's what we
No.
try to do.
Well, no, because I mean, if that's something that AnCan would prefer, I'd rather have it announced as a care partner than a caretaker.
Okay.
So
But
it's
yeah,
it's
or
kind of like,
any of you, and check with and please check with Melissa, and if she's interested, then let
Okay.
us
well, I
know.
have
We'll
John's
work on
number,
it.
so I'll just ask him.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. I'm going to go back to listening again. Thank you for bringing me in, Miss Jen.
And you're welcome, Rick. Thanks for coming in. Okay, so I have multiple sclerosis and I'm really forgetful. And I ask everyone, but is there anyone, and this is Rick's gonna hate this, but is there anyone who had something that they wanted to talk about tonight that didn't talk about it? Okay,
I
that's
think I talked about everything I needed to.
good. Good. Um, yeah. I drove my wheelchair through dirt, and there's nothing worse than getting dirt in your tires and there's mud all over the floor in my house.
Oh.
That's my one small complaint today. So thank
And
you
you
for
live in
letting me
Michigan, so you can't exactly hose it down before you go in the house
know. Nope,
or the car.
nope, nope,
Too cold.
no. And so that's my one. one small wine about today. So, our next meeting, if I can get to my phone.
I think it's the 25th, April 25th.
Just a sec, because math is good. 2
Yeah,
weeks
April
from
25th.
today. Yep, April 25th. And yeah, I don't know, Frank, is there anything you no?
Thanks so much, Jennifer. It was great to see all of you today. Just sending you lots of love, Jennifer. I hope that things are okay for you out there. And
Yeah,
everyone for sharing. Christy, I'm
yeah,
sending my heart to you too. Thank you so
Thank
much, you
you.
guys.
Yes, thank you,
yeah.
everybody.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
all. And if you need anything, just reach out. Otherwise, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks,
Thank
Jen.
All
you.
right. Bye,
Thanks for
All right,
moderating.
everybody.
take care. Bye bye.